Toss-up 11. This author wrote about Ernst Graber, who returns home on leave after being ordered to kill Russian civilians in the novel A Time to Love and a Time to Die. In another novel by this author, a leg amputation is carried out on the wounded Albert Kropp, a comrade of the disillusioned soldier Paul Boyer.
Remark?
Yep. 14 points each. Name these bodies of water of Southeast Asia. Sri Lanka and India are separated from Myanmar by this large bay, named for a historical region in northeast India and present-day Bangladesh.
Bay of Bengal.
Between Myanmar and the Indonesian island of Sumatra is this sea, which bears the same name as some Indian islands that separate the sea from the Bay of Bengal.
I don't know, South China Sea.
Maybe the Strait of Malacca?
That's not
No,
sea.
no.
I say South China Sea.
South China Sea?
Andaman Sea.
Andaman.
To the south of the Andaman Sea lies this strait, which runs between Sumatra and the Malay Peninsula.
Yeah,
Singapore transformed itself into a global shipping hub by leveraging its position on this strait.
Defer.
Strait of Malacca.
20 on the bonus. Toss-up 12. The fundamental theorem of algebra is equivalent to stating that this set is an algebraically closed field. The argument of a number in this set corresponds to an angle in the Argand plane, which is a depiction of this set. Changing the sign of a part of a number in this set is called taking the conjugate. For 10 points, name this set of numbers.
So, imaginary.
Neck 5. That can be written in the form a plus bi, where I is the imaginary.
Complex.
Yep.
Yeah.
You had the right idea.
Your bonus. Carl leads a group of outlaws after being disinherited, and his authors played the robbers for 10 points each. Named this German author whose poem Ode to Joy was set to music in Beethoven's 9th Symphony.
Oh,
Frank Joy.
The robbers.
Can we just name a German poet?
No, it's,
Frank Wagner?
no.
Answer:
Schlieffen.
Schiller.
Schiller.
The Robbers is an example of this German literary movement of the late 18th century, which emphasized extreme passionate emotions. Its name literally translates as storm and
Sturm
stress.
und Drang. Sturm und Drang.
Yes, Sturm und Drang.
Schiller also wrote an 1804 play named after this Swiss archer who was forced to shoot an apple off his own son's head.
William Tell.
William Tell.
20 on the bonus.
Schiller.
Toss-up 13. This country's maniples are a popular tourist site for viewing game animals. This country, whose capital was once known as Salisbury, is where Cecil the lion was killed by a hunter in 2015. Its northern border with Zambia is partly formed by the Zambezi River, which flows down the Victoria Falls. Rhodesia was once the name of 410 points.
Zimbabwe.
Yep. Brigadier General Louis Armistead was wounded while fighting in an attack named for this man. 14 points each. Named this general who led an assault on July 3rd, 1863 that achieved the so-called high water mark of the Confederacy.
Let me think. It was in Civil. I think it was Stonewall Jackson.
Stonewall Jackson.
George Pickett.
Yeah,
Pickett's
Pickett's
charge
charge.
took place
Gettysburg.
near the end of the Union officer commanded the 20th Maine Infantry that defended a hill known as Little Round Top at Gettysburg. He served as Maine's governor after the war.
Wait, I heard something.
No, Lee.
Not Lee.
Do you know anybody else?
Answer:
Lee.
Chamberlain.
Yeah.
So 10 on bonus.
I was trying to remember the song I heard about it.
Toss-up 14. After this man was betrayed by his partners in the Accessory Transit Company, he responded, "I won't sue you, for the law is too slow. I'll ruin you." In his youth, this man worked for steamboat operator Thomas Gibbons. This
Vanderbilt.
Howard. In 2008, the Ninth Circuit ruled against a government seizure in a case titled United States vs. approximately 64,695 pounds of these items. For 10 points each, name these animal parts that provide a chewy texture to a seafood soup considered to be a Chinese delicacy.
Shark fins. Yeah. Shark fins.
The chewy texture of shark fins comes from this material, a flexible connective tissue that sharks have instead of bones.
Cartilage.
Shark fin soup, sometimes used endangered varieties of these sharks in the family Sphyrnidae, which are known for their 360-degree vision.
I think. Yeah, I think maybe
Hammerhead.
30 on the bonus. Toss-up 15. A 2014 song with this name by the Scottish artist Sophie repeats the phrase "Caca Candy Boys." A Gucci Mane song named for this thing has a chorus that mentions this thing in this shade with my feet up. An album with this title included a song referencing Jay-Z's affair and Becky with the good hair. For 10 points, name this drink, which titles an album featuring the songs Sorry and Formation, in 2016 released by Beyonce.
Lemonade.
Several works by Lou Harrison incorporating this ensemble were influenced by his study with KPH Notoprojo for 10 points each. Named this Indonesian music ensemble whose main instruments include various mellophones and the kendhang drum.
Philharmonic.
Gamelin. This French composer modeled his pagodes after the gamelan. He also wrote Clair de Lune and La Mer.
Debussy.
The Cilindro scale used in gamelan has this many different pitches. A scale made up of only the black keys on the piano consists of this many different pitches.
8.
5. Toss up 16. Nikolai Pascalou claimed to have discovered this compound whose synthesis in the body produces fragments of C-peptide. The 1923 Nobel Prize for Medicine credited John McLeod and Frederick Banting with discovering this protein. The first human protein to be sequenced was, for 10 points, what protein produced by the pancreas that opposes the effects.
Insulin.
The law named for this man equates the electric flux through a closed surface to the enclosed charge divided by the vacuum permittivity. For 10 points each, identify this man, which also names the law of magnetism that holds in the absence of magnetic
I
monopoles.
think it's Gauss.
I don't.
Or you
Go
could
with
say
it.
Faraday, but
Go with Gauss.
Gauss.
Gauss's law for magnetism states that this operation from vector calculus acting on a magnetic field vector equals 0.
How many vector
I think it's like curl.
Right.
Curl?
Divergence.
Oh,
Gauss's laws
yeah.
are 2 of this set of 4 governing equations for
Maxwell.
Maxwell's equations.
Maxwell.
20 on the bonus, and toss up 17. One of this philosopher's works considers 3 just types of constitution, each of which has a corrupt counterpart. This ancient thinker declared that man is by nature a political animal in one of his works, while another of his works discusses a concept of human flourishing called eudaimonia.
Aristotle.
Yep. 14 points each. Answer the following about explorers of the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific's name was coined by this Portuguese explorer whose expedition completed the first circumnavigation of the Earth in
Magellan.
1522. Despite the
Magellan.
success, the naturalist George Steller participated in the second of this Danish explorer's Kamchatka expeditions, on which he mapped much of the North Pacific for Russia.
I don't know.
Any guy.
Danish.
Answer:
Cook.
Bering. This 20th century adventurer sailed from Peru to French Polynesia in a hand-built raft called the
Heyerdahl.
Constantine.
Heyerdahl.
20 on the bonus.
4.
Toss 18. This author wrote about Jim Nightshade and William Halloway, who encountered mysterious figures named Mr. Dark and Mr. Cougar in his novel Something Wicked This Way Comes. The protagonist of a novel by this man is pursued by a mechanical hound and uses a flamethrower.
Bradbury.
Yep. In the mid-1900s, plutonium was manufactured at the Hanford site along the shores of this river. For 10 points each, named this river that receives the waters of the Yakima and Snake Rivers near the Tri-Cities area.
Tri-Cities, like St. Lawrence, Hudson. What do we got?
I like it. Same one.
St. Lawrence.
Columbia River. The delta of the Columbia River is on the border between Washington and this U.S. state to its direct south.
Is it Oregon?
Oregon, yeah.
Oregon.
Lake Franklin Delano Roosevelt was created by the construction of this dam along the Columbia River, which produces the most power of any dam.
Is it the Three
in the
Gorges
region.
Dam? I think
That's
it's the
in
Three.
China.
Oh, it is. Hoover Dam.
Hoover.
Grand Coulee.
Yes.
10 on the bonus. And toss of 19. For a process in the Lyman series, a specific one of these quantities drops to a value of 1 from an integer greater than 1. Since the D subshell allows 5 values for the magnetic one of these quantities, that subshell holds
The magnetic orbital.
Mag 5 holds 10 electrons. For 2 fermions, the Pauli principle states that these 4 quantities are not all identical. The electron states in an atom are labeled by, for 10 points, what numbers?
Quantum numbers?
Yeah. 14 points each. Answer the following about bands and artists whose names are related to American literature. This author of Bartleby the Scrivener is supposedly an ancestor of the electronica artist Moby, whose stage name derives from an 1851 novel by this author.
Novel.
Metal band whose albums include 2007's An Ocean Between Us shares its name with this author's novel As I Lay Dying.
Faulkner, yeah.
Falcon.
The band 21 Pilots takes its name from a number of airmen who died as a result of Joe Keller's dishonest business practices in this play by Arthur Miller.
Oh, all my sons.
All my sons.
30 on the bonus.
Just here's gonna be freaking out. I should have just finished all that.
270.
255 and 275.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I should have been better song, because what they're talking about in the second sentence was the golden age, not the
Good game.
Good game. Good game. Good game.
Did you start out with 4 passes?
No, no, no.